Welcome, France. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure, Murat.
Last time we interviewed, it has been quite a while. I want to start with some reflection.
Yeah, let's look back. I think it's always good for learning. Philips used to be a conglomerate holding, dipping its toes in many different businesses, but perhaps not being at the edge of innovation everywhere. And in fact, it's difficult to be at the forefront when you are in so many different industries at the same time. So we decided to put all our investments and money on health technology as an opportunity market. It's a blue ocean, it's a growing market, there's huge societal needs for health and healthcare, and technology can really transform the way health and healthcare is being delivered to the people in the world. So we decided that was an attractive place. Now, we took the consequence by exiting all our other divisions, shrinking the company initially, so that we could have a higher growth rate, a better profitability. But most importantly, that we would have a clear purpose of what we stand for in society, right? Improving people's health and well-being through innovation. So that was the ingoing premise. Just transforming such a portfolio is a major undertaking in its own right, right? The vision that we had as a leader in health technology was very much informed by the unmet needs of our customers. I think everybody has a personal experience in healthcare, and you realize how siloed healthcare is. Everybody works hard, but the outcomes are not very efficient. Often people need to wait very long. If somebody has cancer, it can take months before you're diagnosed. Patients don't always have the right information. There's many things that are very inefficient and very ineffective in health and healthcare. So we said that is our purpose, to change that. For that, we needed to innovate. Our innovation strategy was very much about embracing digital technology, to get data around patients, to make that data insightful and actionable, to make sure that the right people have data. Hence, you need to have a platform approach between primary care, secondary care, tertiary care, involving the patient, involving their families. So an ecosystem of care. That was what we envisaged. And now we have been able to grow the company significantly because of that choice, because of that bet, because of the 1.8 billion euro in R&D that we put to work to innovate the delivery of healthcare. So it was a massive undertaking driven by a deep insight about the opportunity that we saw to transform healthcare. And today we are actually back to a very respectable size of 18 billion euro health technology leader, with a much better profitability profile, and still a lot of opportunities ahead of us.
That's wonderful. How far are you in implementing that vision? What do you want to achieve still?
There is a lot of opportunity to further embrace digital technologies. And COVID, in fact, has given us a deep insight. In a way, it's a catalyst of change. It's very interesting because when COVID happened and many people were at home in lockdown, people started to use telehealth, right? It became an insight that actually you don't always need to go to your doctor or to the hospital to receive care. Hospitals were a place where infectious disease reigns. Maybe you don't want to be there, right? So health providers across the world have started to transform the way healthcare is being delivered. And our choices to embrace informatics, to bring care professionals and patients together in a different way, suddenly got a big boost, right? So, but we also need to be realistic. Healthcare is a huge market with millions of practitioners. It's relatively conservative. Change will take years. If we realize that the financial market changed over the last 20 years and we are very much at ease to do our financial transactions through the cloud. We don't even think about it twice, right? But healthcare is certainly 20 years behind that, right? So still a lot has to happen to make healthcare fast, efficient, easy to experience, targeted at the individual rather than generic approaches for cohorts of patients. So the individualization of care, which digital enables, is the holy grail, right? And I think that is what everybody wants, especially in the comfort of your own home. So we see still fantastic opportunities to drive this further. That means we need to tear down the silos in healthcare, which means that we as an innovation and platform provider need to bring all of this together so that workflows in healthcare are much more efficient. Data is available, and even through AI, we can be predictive about what a patient needs so that we understand whether a patient is trending up or trending down, who needs help, who can actually go home and be discharged early. So there are so many opportunities that we want to go after. Let's take an example to make it a bit more practical. Let's take a cancer patient. To diagnose cancer, you need to bring together information from radiology, pathology, tissue samples, genomics, DNA, but also longitudinal patient records. All of these areas are covered by different specialists, and these are the silos in healthcare. Through informatics, we have brought this together in an oncology informatics package, co-developed with the university here in the Netherlands. It increases the insights of the diagnosis of the patient and can link to what is the best treatment pathway for that particular individual cancer patient. It's very exciting because it makes the process of analyzing and diagnosing the cancer patient much shorter, and it enhances the right choice of the treatment for that individual patient so that we don't lose time while this terrible disease is happening. This is an example of the future of healthcare. Individualized, precise, but also fast and efficient, without boundaries. It requires that the individual technologies of imaging, lab results, genomic testing are all brought together without any boundaries, right? Where data becomes liquid and where there's a digital twin around the patient so that you can compare the individual patient to patients like them, and you can tap into the vast experience of the literature on how medication and treatment would apply to that individual patient. So that vision we are after, we are realizing it through an embrace of data science. It also means that we had to bring in a lot of new core competencies in the company that we didn't have before. Right? And you speak about, leadership. One of the tasks of leaders is actually to realize what are the core competencies needed to unlock the future opportunity. And you need even to have some destructive creativity, because when you bring in new competencies, you have to cut on your old competencies, because otherwise it becomes too costly. Right? So a transformation of the company is not just about portfolio, we talked about that earlier, it's also about your innovation strategy and your innovation capabilities, so that we can actually apply, in this case, data science, to all the data coming from the diagnostic process of the patient.
You emphasize the importance of innovation leadership to achieve that vision. Can you elaborate how you do that, and important how you do that when everything else is in motion and turbulent?
Yeah, it's right. It's not easy because we are an organization with 80,000 people, and to realize a new innovation vision, you need to go deep and ask yourself, do we have the right capabilities in the organization to actually achieve that vision. The how is then about asking, what are the core competencies that I need? Are my processes, my systems, my people all suited to achieve the vision that I need to get? And if you realize that Philips used to be a hardware company, but that the future of healthcare requires us to be a data science company, an informatics company, then we had to make a huge shift in the core capabilities of the organization. For example, around R&D, but also in how we support our customers in the field. Today, Philips has over 60% of R&D in software and data science. And that is a huge shift from the past. That also means you need to cut somewhere so that you can invest somewhere else. And as a leader, you all the time have to look at your resources and make sure that you invest the money that you have at your disposal in the right areas. And that's sometimes tough because the people that are at the short end of the stick, where we shrink, will resist that. Right? And so the leader will have to explain the why, get the people on a courageous journey of change, saying thank you for the past, but that will not get us to the future. We will have to change.
And how do you do that when everything is changing?
That's hard. So change is constant, but the last 2 years, COVID, geopolitics have made it particularly hard. We have to communicate a lot, stay close to the people, answer their questions, clarify what their role is in all of this. Has been quite challenging. I remember March 2020, when the full magnitude of COVID became clear, and we had to decide to ramp up production of critical care medical devices like ventilators and patient monitors. And overnight we decided to invest 100 million euro to expand capacity to be able to deliver an 8-fold increase in capacity because the world needed that. How sure are you about such an investment? Right? And we went back to our purpose. We said, well, if there's one moment where you need to stand up and be courageous, this is it. Yeah. And so let's do it. It was very motivational for our people. And then you also realize when you create clarity of what you want to achieve, people stand up and follow, and they will come with solutions. So that engagement with the people is super important. And that is when you unlock their full strength. By actually explaining, here's what we need, please help us find the answers. And then all these smart people will rise to the occasion to do it. But it takes a lot of engagement and communication. Is one of the core tasks of the leader, is actually to be there and get all the noses in the same direction so that people together can deliver a result to the customers who are waiting.
Very nice. What is your approach and strategy to cultivate an ecosystem for healthcare?
Yeah, so when we talk about a platform approach and an ecosystem, that means we also have to take our own medicine. That means we cannot make Philips a closed solution. We need to be open, right? Which means working with third parties. So we have adopted an open platform approach. We have adopted a vendor-neutral approach. Maybe I'll give an example of that. We have a solution which is called the Radiology Operations Command Center. It basically allows you to operate diagnostic modalities remotely so that staff shortages or people that don't have the skills can be augmented through augmented reality remotely. Customers love that because it allows the continuation of operations during a pandemic or during staff shortages. And when there's less experienced staff, somebody remotely can assist. But then they said, well, but that should not only work for Philips equipment, it should also work for Siemens or GE or other brands. And we have said, of course, right? Because it needs to be a platform play, an ecosystem of care, where our solutions need to work on everybody's equipment. And so that is what we have done. And I think it helps us win customers because they cannot deal with those silos anymore.
What is your strategy toward AI?
It's interesting because not even 5 years ago, doctors didn't want to have anything to do with AI. They thought it would replace them. And now people realize the potential of AI. And we see two big areas of benefit. First, AI can help operational efficiency, help automate menial tasks that actually take time away from the patient. So helping doctors to have the right information at their fingertips, help them progress reports, automatic follow-up. So these are all relatively simple tasks where AI and machine learning can, in a contextual manner, advance efficiency and actually free up time. And often doctors and nurses complain about all the administration that they need to do. Secondly, AI can actually help on the clinical side. We embed AI and machine learning around patient data to be predictive about whether a patient needs help or not. A nice example is that we can predict whether somebody gets cardiac arrest even 6 hours before it happens by interpreting their vital signs and how these vital signs are trending. We can then direct care to the people that need it before the event happens. Right? Of course, that's great for the patient, but it's also very important from a societal point of view because you can avoid very costly escalations in care. And it is rewarding to the staff because they avoid problems. If you then imagine that this kind of predictive science can work also at home, because if we can have patients equipped with sensor technology and this data science or these applications can help support you in living a healthy life and perhaps see early on signs of deterioration and give feedback to you and your doctor about your lifestyle and maybe getting help early on. And a good example is on how atrial fibrillation or AFib, heart arrhythmia issues. Many people suffer from it, but they are not aware that they have that. But if they have a long episode of such a cardiac disease, they may get a blood clot resulting in a stroke. A stroke can mean they are paralyzed for their life. Right? So here is a huge benefit by turning medicine from reactive towards proactive and predictive. So look, we see a fantastic role for data science in healthcare, right? But we do need to then change the way healthcare is being consumed. Right? Often today, we wait very long and then there is an issue and then it's an emergency. Where we at Philips, we plead for making healthcare a continuum of continuous monitoring and coaching on health and through early detection and screening, being able to direct care to those who need it. We see a very good growth opportunity in providing these diagnostic platforms, minimally invasive therapies, and remote patient care management ecosystems, including diagnosis. We aim to be the platform player. We provide the data science to interpret the data. We provide the devices. This combination of devices, a platform, and the interpretation of the data, both operationally and clinically, is a sweet spot. And it is the systems integration of these components that make it very useful for the customer. Reversely, it means that if you are only providing a component, it will be very difficult to make an impact in society. So we see ourselves as an integrator of all these technologies. Some will be invented by ourselves. Some will actually come out of the collaboration with academic institutions because they have all the data and they can also have the machine learning models. They discover new algorithms and insights, which we then bring on our platform as an integrator. And then we have an even better solution. Earlier on in the interview, we spoke about oncology informatics and how we bring insights from radiology, pathology, genomics together, including what are effective treatment pathways out of the literature. We can bring these insights from the leading academic cancer institutes into our software so that the average hospital can benefit from the knowledge of the leading institutions. Right? So you see how the future of these kind of healthcare platforms incorporate knowledge from third parties into our value proposition. And we think that's the innovation strategy that's going to be winning. Now, it does require for Philips to be very open-minded about what are the centers of expertise elsewhere that we can tap into and bring into our ecosystem, onto our platform. And that's quite a change from the past, where we would innovate in our lab and then introduce a new product. In this world of platforms, you can actually co-create innovation together with other parties that are not part of your own organization, and where we are then the integrator of that proposition to our end customers.
What are the main challenges achieving that co-creation? I'm guessing it is easier said than done to bring these different parties to share their state-of-art innovations with you.
Yeah, look, it starts with a willingness and eagerness, a shared vision, a shared dream. But healthcare is a regulated industry. You also need to apply quality standards to that co-creation, which means that the third parties that you work with will have to work under your quality management system so that the end result of that creativity is a reliable product. And then another issue is, well, who gets the reward? How do you divide the money? Right? Because if you co-create a solution, everybody wants to earn money on it, right? And the intellectual property now comes from multiple parties, right? So you also have to agree on what is the licensing model of that co-created technology that we then system integrate into one integrated platform to deliver better healthcare. So certainly there are quite a few dimensions that need to be discussed, but it's quite possible. Right? And I do believe that this is how you actually become a better company.
Wonderful. And in that vision, your employees also play a critical role by continuously coming up with these creative ideas and innovations. As a leader, how do you motivate them?
Actually, Murat, the motivation is easy. Everybody loves to make people better. Right? So the motive of innovating for better health and well-being is actually attracting talent to Philips. It's the benefit of becoming clear in what Philips stands for. Earlier we spoke about the transformation from a conglomerate to a focused healthcare company. It had a huge benefit in attracting talent who wants to make a difference and an impact in healthcare. Often talent says, they want three things in life. One is purpose. We just talked about that. That's a tick on the box. Secondly, they want to have the opportunity to make a difference. They want to have clear role and accountability. And thirdly, they want to have an opportunity to learn. Right? So as a leader, we need to make sure that this huge opportunity is carved up in pieces that people can say, I own this piece. I'm going to make sure that I deliver that. Right? Staying with my example around oncology informatics, we have a team that is focused on that. Now that team delivering an oncology informatics package that can accelerate cancer diagnosis and improve cancer care, That's a focused team. They own it. They take pride in delivering that. However, we also have a team that looks at the overall architecture of our overall solution portfolio, because that oncology informatics solution still needs to work in the overall hospital, where it needs to work with the radiology department, with the pathology department. It needs to work for the chief information officer. So there are design rules and criteria that we apply to the overall innovation strategy of the company. So dedicated team, they have their own focus and purpose, but they need to work with the design rules, the architecture rules of the overall strategic vision of the company. And for example, make sure that it is cyber secure. It can be invoiced as a SaaS business model. It has a user interface and experience that is going to be uniform across our solutions. Otherwise, people get confused and so on. So it requires quite some organization around the process of innovation that you need to put in place as enablers, so that you can then have those focused teams delivering on their individual mission.
Frans, this has been a very insightful conversation. I want to thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure, and I hope all the students will take something out of it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.